Have you ever wondered how the Star Wars saga goes beyond stars and lightsabers? In this video, we'll explore the deep connections between George Lucas' universe and the real history of humanity. From inspiring revolutions to iconic figures, Star Wars is not just a science fiction story. It's a mirror that reflects our struggles, achievements, and moral dilemmas. Get ready for a fascinating journey that reveals how the themes of freedom, resistance, and morality are intertwined with historical events that shaped the world as we know it. Stay with us until the end, because the revelations we'll share may change the way you view both the saga and the history of our own galaxy. 1. Revolution and Rebellion. The Rebel Alliance in Star Wars is a powerful representation of resistance against an oppressive regime. Much like the American Revolution, which fought against British tyranny, the rebels seek to free the galaxy from the control of the Galactic Empire. The courage of characters like Leia Organa and Mon Mothma echoes the ideals of freedom and autonomy that drove the Patriots in their quest for a new world. As the Alliance's struggle intensifies, we see echoes of imperialism permeating the story. Here, the connection is strengthened when we look at the Galactic Empire, which, similar to authoritarian regimes of the 20th century, seeks absolute control through fear and oppression. The Empire's tactics of domination can be compared to the methods of control used by totalitarian governments, making the rebels' struggle resonate with historical battles for freedom. 2. Imperialism and the First Order. If the Rebel Alliance reflects resistance, the First Order represents the return of imperialist ideals. Inspired by regimes such as Nazism and Stalinism, the First Order uses military force and propaganda to subjugate the galaxy. Supreme Leader Snoke and his hierarchy resemble historical figures who prioritize power over freedom, drawing parallels with the rise of authoritarian leaders. This dynamic between oppression and resistance connects directly to the depiction of the Jedi as medieval knights. Their fight against the dark side, as well as the rebels' fight against the First Order, reflects the nobility and idealism of medieval knights. The Jedi, with their code of honor and discipline, are a symbol of virtue, similar to the Knights Templar who defended the faith in times of crisis. 3. Jedi as medieval knights. The Jedi embody an ethic that resembles that of medieval knights, fighting not only with lightsabers, but also with a moral code. This code is reminiscent of the principles of honor and courage that guided the knights on their missions. Thus, the Jedi Order is not just a fighting force, but a representation of the values that sustained societies during the Middle Ages, in a context that echoes the search for justice and protection. However, while the Jedi maintain their nobility, the political ambition of the Sith offers a reflection on the philosophy of power. The Sith's quest for total domination can be compared to the Machiavellian tactics used by historical leaders in search of absolute control. This relationship between the morality of the Jedi and the ambition of the Sith establishes a central conflict that has roots in ethical dilemmas throughout history. 4. The philosophy of the Sith and political ambition. The Sith, with their philosophy of power and ambition, represent the dark side of the struggle for control. Historical figures such as Machiavelli wrote about the need for manipulation and power to achieve goals. Likewise, the Sith use force and fear as tools to consolidate their influence, revealing a direct relationship between the search for power in the galaxy and the political practices of real history. While the Sith embody ambition, the Jedi strive to maintain a moral balance. This struggle between light and dark is reflected in the role of women in Star Wars, such as Leia and Padme, who not only face challenges in a male-dominated world, but also act as leaders at crucial moments. The strength of these characters aligns with female figures in history who, defying social norms, have emerged as leaders in times of conflict. 5. The role of women in historical conflicts. Female characters like Leia and Padme defy stereotypes and become symbols of resistance in Star Wars. Much like Joan of Arc, who led troops in a male-dominated era, they play essential roles in the fight against oppression. These women not only inspire rebels, but also serve as icons of courage and determination, representing female strength in an often unequal world. As we examine the struggles and achievements of women in Star Wars, we are led to consider the guerrilla warfare of the Rebel Alliance, which resembles historical resistance strategies such as those used during the Vietnam War. The Alliance stands out for its ability to fight with limited resources, using ingenious tactics to overcome a much more powerful enemy, reflecting the resilience of resistance movements throughout time. 6. The Battle of Endor and the Vietnam War. The Battle of Endor is a turning point in the Rebel struggle, just as the Vietnam War was a turning point in modern history. The Rebel Alliance, though smaller in numbers, uses guerrilla tactics to confront the Empire. This battle symbolizes the struggle of a people against a seemingly invincible oppressor, an echo of the guerrilla warfare that defined the Vietnamese resistance, showing that the repression can often overcome brute force. These stories of resistance connect with the droid uprising in the Clone Wars. The uprising of the droids, who yearn for freedom, mirrors historical slave revolts, where the desire for autonomy and dignity led to uprisings in various parts of the world. The narratives of struggles for freedom, whether by humans or droids, highlight the universal struggle against oppression and the search for a better future. 7. The story of the droids and the slave revolt. The droid uprising in the Clone Wars provokes reflections on questions of slavery and autonomy. Just as the slaves in the story sought freedom from their oppressors, the droids yearned to break their chains, raising questions of conscience and rights. This struggle for freedom becomes a microcosm of the larger historical struggles for dignity and equality. While the droids rebel, the Star Wars saga explores the complexity of freedom through the perspective of its protagonists. This analysis leads us to consider the myth of the hero, where figures like Luke Skywalker embody the journey of overcoming. Luke's story is not just a personal struggle, but a narrative that resonates with the trajectory of historical leaders who faced adversity to achieve a greater ideal. 8. The myth of the hero and historical leaders. Luke Skywalker exemplifies the myth of the hero, a narrative present in many cultures throughout history. His journey from a simple farmer to a powerful Jedi reflects the trajectories of leaders like Alexander the Great, who also rose from humble beginnings to become figures of great influence. The construction of this journey not only inspires Star Wars fans, but also echoes the legends of heroes who shaped human history. However, the Star Wars narrative is not limited to individual heroism alone. The influence of Bushido, the samurai code of honor, is evident in Jedi philosophy. Just as the samurai upheld honor and loyalty, the Jedi follow a path of morality that sets them apart. This connection between past and present highlights how traditions and values continue to shape societies and pop culture. 9. The influence of Bushido on the Jedi. The Jedi philosophy, with its roots in Bushido, emphasizes discipline, honor, and sacrifice. These principles are vital to understanding Jedi morality and their commitment to protecting the galaxy. The relationship between the Jedi and the samurai bridges cultures, showing how universal values of courage and loyalty transcend time and space. While the Jedi advocate for peace, the Star Wars narrative also illustrates the role of propaganda and social control, which are fundamental to the survival of the Empire. The manipulation of truth and the use of force to maintain order are strategies that echo the tactics of totalitarian regimes throughout history. In this way, the Jedi's fight against oppression becomes a metaphor for social struggles faced throughout history. 10. Propaganda and social control in the Empire. The propaganda of the Galactic Empire, with its ability to shape public perception, is a powerful tool reminiscent of the disinformation campaigns used by totalitarian governments. Social control is a central strategy for maintaining power, where the manipulation of truth becomes a means to silence dissent. This connection highlights the importance of freedom of expression and resistance to oppression. This discussion of control and resistance leads us to reflect on the Clone Wars and their similarities to modern conflicts. Wars are not just physical battles, but also fights for the hearts and minds of people. The Rebel Alliance, like many contemporary organizations, is a symbol of hope amidst chaos, showing that the fight for justice is timeless and universal. 11. The Clone Wars and modern conflict. The Clone Wars are a powerful allegory for modern conflicts, where alliances are formed and broken in the pursuit of power. As in contemporary wars, the lines between good and evil become blurred, and morality is often put to the test. The complexity of alliances in Star Wars reflects the reality of today's geopolitics, where interests are often at odds. These wars also reflect the architecture and cities that emerge in the midst of the conflict. Planets like Coruscant, with their ever-changing megacities, mirror the urban development of our own history. The depiction of these cities in Star Wars highlights not only the struggle for power, but also the daily lives of the people who inhabit these vast metropolises. 12. Architecture and cities in Star Wars. Coruscant, as the heart of the galaxy, represents the intersection of politics and urban life. Its imposing structures and dense population reflect the complexity of modern societies, where citizens often feel small in the midst of the vast system that governs them. Coruscant's architecture also serves as a reminder of the influence of urbanization on social dynamics, reminding us of the cities that have shaped human history. As we delve into the architecture of Star Wars, we are led to consider espionage, a recurring theme that permeates the narrative. Espionage, both in Star Wars and in history, is a crucial tool that can alter the course of wars and alliances. The practice of gathering secret information becomes a game of chess, where every move can have profound and lasting consequences. 13. Espionage in Star Wars and history. Espionage in Star Wars is vital to the plot, where intelligence gathering and deception play crucial roles. Much like the Cold War, where espionage was a central component of global tensions, the struggle between the rebellion and the Empire is marked by intrigue and betrayal. This practice reveals the importance of information and how it can be a powerful weapon in the struggle for power. This narrative of intrigue and espionage leads us to consider the influence of myths and religions in the construction of the Star Wars universe. Mythological and archetypal elements permeate the saga, from the concept of heroes to the struggle between good and evil. These stories are not only entertaining, but also reflect the beliefs and values that have shaped civilization throughout history. 14. Myths and religion in Star Wars. The myths and religions that influence Star Wars are evident in the construction of its characters and in the epic narrative. The Jedi, with their connection to the Force, reflect spiritual concepts present in many cultures. This search for meaning and spiritual connection is not only an aspect of fiction, but also resonates with the human search for purpose throughout history. As we explore these influences, we are reminded of the ethnic conflicts represented in the saga. The tensions between different species in Star Wars are a reflection of the struggles that occurred throughout real history. These conflicts, often driven by prejudice and rivalry, highlight the need for dialogue and understanding in an increasingly diverse world. 15. Ethnic conflicts and race in Star Wars. The conflicts between species in Star Wars, such as the tension between humans and Wookiees, mirror the ethnic tensions we have seen in our own history. These conflicts are often fueled by prejudice and stereotypes, making them a powerful representation of the struggles for equality and acceptance. The struggle for acceptance of different cultures in the galaxy serves as a reminder that diversity is a strength, not a weakness. By the end of this journey through the connections between Star Wars and real history, it is clear that the saga goes beyond entertainment. It addresses profound questions about power, resistance, morality, and the human condition. Through these narratives, we are invited to reflect on our own history and the ongoing struggle for justice and freedom in a world full of challenges. So, what did you think of the connections between Star Wars and the real story? Were you surprised by the similarities and parallels we found? If you enjoyed this dive into the depths of the saga, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. And for more amazing content about Star Wars and much more, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. Join us on this galactic journey, and may the Force always be with you.